Vanessa White, Michelle Dillingham, Mike Moroski, Melissa Wegman. And these are all challengers. These are all challengers, so this is really important for them. Okay, here's your opening statement. You get 2 minutes each. You heard that big rigmarole before. I'm going to read it again. For your opening statement, please tell us what are, or perhaps should be, true indicators of progress for the city of Cincinnati. What are the most critical objective measures for Cincinnati moving in a positive direction? And please outline specific strategies for creating, managing, and sustaining such a vision for the future. Future. We will start on, let's go the other way. Let's go the other way. Melissa Wegman.
Can you repeat the last three?
I will be
The
more
managing.
than, okay. What are the most critical objective measures for Cincinnati moving in a positive direction? And please outline specific strategies for creating, managing, and sustaining such a vision for the future.
Got it.
Creating, managing, and sustaining. Okay. Ms. Wegman, you're first, and you have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name's Melissa Wegman. I'm a fourth generation Cincinnati West Sider. I'm the one proud West Sider running. I'm also the one that is running who has a business. We employ over 50 people. The company is my family business called the Wegman Company. We've been around for 46 years in the city of Cincinnati. We started in East Price Hill. Our second building is the warehouse next to the drop-in center, where my office was for the 10 years in the 90s. And now we currently reside at our headquarters down in the West End. You might see us on the highway when you're coming up. Most people recognize the Duck. I say those because they're all very key neighborhoods, and in the most part, they're a lot of underserved neighborhoods. I was around in the 90s when the Washington Park was Washington Park. One of the things that we felt important as a family business was to make sure that we integrated with the neighbors, because it was our livelihood. They were just going to be as much as a supporter of us as we were going to be for them. So what I did is I went out and became very involved in East Price Hill with over 20 years experience on the community council, over 5 years in the Business Alliance that currently is what's part of the whole economic development area going on up in East Price Hill. As far as in our areas, I see what being underserved, and when the city's not looking at those neighborhoods, the importance of getting a voice to it. We do have great things happening in downtown Cincinnati. I look at it as the sun, that's the center, and you have 50 rays of sunshine that are all your neighborhoods. They're not being served. And I think what's important is getting back to the basics, making sure that we have streets that are clean, that without potholes, and then making sure that we have safe neighborhoods, because in those neighborhoods, I know that without safe streets, you cannot have economic development, you cannot have safe development in those neighborhoods. Thank you.
Okay. Mike Moroski.
All right, I'm going to answer the question first, and if I have time, let you all know a little bit about me, unless you don't already. The three measurables I'd like to see in 10 years are a drop in recidivism rates by 10%, a repopulation of a growth of 10%, and I would also like to see the child poverty rate go down by 10%. To do this, we need what I like to call economically moral initiatives. My whole life has been in the not-for-profit and education sector. I've been a small business owner, and I have a business degree on top of all my not-for-profit work. That said, if we do not invest in initiatives that take into account more than 5 to 10% of the city's population, it's all for naught. While I am for infrastructure initiatives such as the streetcar, I'm for those initiatives because I see the necessity of a small business growth in the city so that we can keep our earnings tax low, have a bigger income tax base, and can begin to fund human services at a level of at least 1%. That said, I also have proposed and drafted legislation for anti-displacement ordinances to discourage slumlording, protect our city's affordable housing stock that Plan Cincinnati calls for 1,200 units in the central business district alone. Currently, we have 120. This is why a lot of neighborhoods are bearing the moral responsibility alone to the west and a little to the north, because all neighborhoods aren't bearing it equally. Visitability and accessibility ordinances, in 17 years, 35% of our population will be over 60. And if these people are confined to their homes, they're not going to be able to participate in the economy. We can offer incentives similar to Toledo to get that going. Also, I propose social impact bonds, which bring together the government sector, public sector, private sector, and the not-for-profit sector, all of whom never play in the same sandbox together, so you need one hell of a mediator to get this going. But I've been working with third sector capital in Massachusetts. I'd like Cincinnati to be the third city in the United States to embrace social impact bonds to reduce recidivism rates by 10%. All that said, I am for infrastructure projects. There are a lot of other issues going on, and when I'm on city council, I can guarantee you that I'll be the voice for the voiceless that have been unheard for too many years. Thanks.
Michelle Dillingham.
I'm Michelle Dillingham, your neighborhood candidate from Kennedy Heights. When I think about a progressive city, there's some obvious indicators. Of course, we can look at unemployment, child poverty rates, but there's a lot of important indicators that we don't hear a lot about. For example, if you look at our fair housing issues, there continues to be an extreme, very concerning amount of discrimination. And I know this because I'm friends who work in the fair housing world. If you look at a progressive city, it means that our population is engaged, that they have a voice, and I've put out an economic inclusion plan that talks about some concrete ways to get people a seat at the table. For example, looking at our boards and our commissions that run our city in many ways and make important decisions. We need more diversity on those, and city council can certainly have an important role to make sure that happens. But the big point is that a lot of the sort of talking points or rhetoric that I hear from my standpoint is, here's my position. Local government has an extremely important role in spurring economic development and investment in places where the free market has really abandoned it. And I know this from a neighborhood perspective. It's because of our work up in Kennedy Heights with the Cultural Arts Center, with the private and the public and the arts community, the philanthropy community, that we've created an investment there, an anchor location, creating a cultural arts center that's going to completely transform our neighborhood. And those are the type of efforts that I want to do at City Hall. With your vote for Michelle Dillingham, your neighborhood candidate, know that I will represent the important issues of inclusion that really make a progressive city happen. Thank you for your time.
Okay, finally, Vanessa White.
Hi, I'm Vanessa White, and one of the distinguishing factors for me is that I am a candidate who has served 4 years in public office, and I've learned some very important lessons in my governance role. So I absolutely want to see fewer of our residents in our community living in poverty. I absolutely believe we need to have more of our young people graduating with post-secondary degrees. And I believe that we need a council that also has more connection and transparency with our community. I think that to continue to run government with by referendum is one of the things that I think we need to stop doing. And so I absolutely want to see us have more open and transparent governance with our neighborhoods. As I've been out in the neighborhoods, it is one of the distinguishing things that our residents are saying is that we want more accessibility with our council members. And I, as an elected official, that has been one of the things that has distinguished me. My first year in office, I was a chair of a committee called Public and Partnership Engagement. And that's a committee I would suggest for city council that is not there. And what I did was I took our meetings out into the communities because that was what I heard from the residents. And I think we need to do more of that, is taking our meetings out into the neighborhoods where our residents can have access to us. And so young people being able to be prepared for career success, fewer families living in poverty. I also think something very important is that we talked about earlier in the earlier session, we've had 300 people move to our city. We need more than that moving in our city if we're going to have the kind of economic vibrancy that we need to continue to grow.